Okay, cool. So let's get started.
Great.
Welcome back to another episode of My Body, My Jokes. It's me, it's Morgan. Hello, I'm here. I'm in the home studio. We're adding new little things every day. Hopefully you're watching the video so you can see all the fun little decorations. But thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for being here. Feel free to leave a review, a like, a comment, literally anything that at all. It always helps the podcast. And if you're in Denver, don't forget I'm hosting a sapphic comedy show on May 9th at the Pearl. I'm really excited. We have a good amount of tickets sold so far, and we have a killer lineup. So if you're in Denver, come to the Sapphic Comedy Show. It's the first of its kind in the Pearl, and I think the first of its kind maybe in the city. I don't know. It's going to be really fun. But today I have a guest that has literally been recommended to me so many times since the beginning of this podcast, and I'm so happy to have her here. I actually got to perform for her not too long ago. So today I have the founder and owner of the Vibe Gym and Wellness Collective, Meghan Nelson. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Oh my gosh, yes. And this is your first pod.
It is my first time.
Iconic. I love it. I was telling Meghan before the episode, like, I love when people get to come on this podcast first because I feel like, especially now at this setup, it's so comfy and casual.
It is.
Whereas sometimes you go on a podcast and it's literally like in a studio that's really like corporate and you're just kind of at a table with a mic and you're like, this is uncomfortable.
Hello.
I'm in like a conference meeting.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've done a lot of public speaking before and actually when I was like through college and stuff, I studied music and I like sang and was a performer for a long time. So
cool.
I've never had a problem with like being in front of people, but this feels like we're just here to chit chat and to like hang out. And that feels like a lot more comfortable than other environments that I've been in where I'm like, okay, I have to be perfect.
Yeah.
We're standing in front of a crowd, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so different. Yeah, this is like we're just hanging out, but there just happen to be microphones in front of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so Vibe, direct from the website, Wellness Center for Women and Genderqueer People. So this is a women's only, but like women's and genderqueer people only gym.
Yes.
But not only is it a gym, you have classes and training, you have nutrition counseling, Reiki therapy, pelvic floor therapy, chiropractic, childcare, which is awesome, and then correct me if I'm wrong, hypnotherapy and like tarot. Oh my god, that's so cool.
Well, it's like your one-stop shop for like literally everything, body, mind, soul, and that was always my vision for it, was to just make it a place where you could come in, get everything under one roof, and like take care of yourself.
Yeah. And so we were at was it 3-year anniversary?
Yep.
And so this has been an established gym now in Denver for 3 years.
Yes.
How has that journey been just from like conception to where you are now?
Yeah. Crazy. First of all, I mean, I was a personal trainer before I opened the gym and whatnot, but like I never worked for another gym. I was always a self-employed personal trainer.
Cool.
And so when I like filled up my schedule and like my journey into the fitness industry, I feel like was different than a lot of people's in itself. But I basically maxed out my ability to personal train any more than what I was doing currently. And the more that I got into the industry, the more that I wanted to continue to grow, the more people I was talking to, the more that I just heard over and over again, specifically from women and queer people, that they just didn't really feel good in traditional gym spaces. On top of that, like we were in the thick of COVID when it was like November 2020, when gyms were not even open at that time.
Right.
When I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to open a gym. And people were like, you realize that like gyms don't exist right now.
Yeah.
And I knew that, but I also knew that I was planning Vibe to be open. Like I knew it was going to take me a little while to get there. And I was hoping that the state of the world would be a little bit different by the time that we opened. So that was the first major crazy obstacle, was just getting through COVID and like getting all of the foundation work done during the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. But also in some ways it was perfect because there was no pressure to get open because like it couldn't be open yet.
Right.
So like it all works out, you know, the way that it's supposed to. But yeah, I mean, I encountered every obstacle in the books just trying to get open in the first place. Everything from like funding to finding a space to feeling safe in the people that I was collaborating and working with, and really what made the whole thing possible, because like I was also trying to be a startup company with really no previous like proof of concept besides my personal training business, that wasn't like a huge company or anything. Like being able to just work with what I had was really challenging. But luckily during that initial phase of when I decided that I wanted to open the gym, I have a pretty extensive background in business and marketing. So
good for you.
Yeah.
So you know what you're doing.
Right. And that I think is like a huge reason why I've even been able to complete what I have in the amount of time that I have, because I had that background already. Where a lot of people that try to start a company, they have a really good skill set, but being a personal trainer and being a business owner are two completely different jobs. So luckily I had that part of it before I even became a personal trainer, and that helped things along a lot. But basically I decided to do this big market research survey. So I worked with a company to poll 10,000 women in Denver, and just to like figure out, is this just something that I'm hearing in my bubble, or is this actually like
an
a
issue
thing? Yeah. So luckily that data came back like super conclusive, and just the information was really obvious.
And the information was regarding like the desire to be in like a women's only space.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Yeah. So it was like 15 questions total, and it was all around why people go to the gym, why they don't go to the gym, what they're looking for in the gym.
Okay, cool.
And so it was like even some demographic information to be able to figure out like what where the population densities were in Denver, like just like all kinds of information to get the specifics on how to launch the company the best way possible. But out of everybody polled, 60% of the people that did not go to the gym, the top reason why was because they didn't feel comfortable in traditional gym spaces. And then 45% of the people that did go to the gym said they would switch if they had an environment that they were more comfortable in.
Yes.
So that was just like obvious data that like it was a no-brainer that I'm like, okay, there's a need in the market here. And then after that, it was just kind of like getting all the ducks in a row. And again, still a very bumpy road, but from November 2020 to April 2022 was all getting it together. And then finally we launched in April 2022, and now we've just been open for 3 years.
Yeah.
So here
and
we
it
are.
seems like it's going pretty well.
Yeah, I think any entrepreneur, and like I'm an Aries, so I'm just like very hard on myself.
Oh yeah.
But I think anybody that is self-employed has big goals, and like, there's lots of ways that I wish that we were even further along than where we are. But when I really like sit back and think about like small businesses and like the lifespan of small businesses and like the success rate and whatnot, like I have to be so proud of what we've built in just 3 years. Because sometimes it feels like it's been open a lot longer than that. And then in other ways, it feels like there's no way that it could be that long yet.
Yeah.
So it's a weird feeling.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've obviously I've gone through a lot of different phases of like exercise, because having an eating disorder, it's like one of those things where I've gaslit myself into being like, I'm a weightlifter. I love weightlifting.
Yeah.
And I go to Planet Fitness like every day for like 6 months straight.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh no, this is just part of my eating disorder. You know what I mean? Or like, so I haven't like been to a gym environment because I feel so, I think, compelled to step back into that like kind of disordered eating part of my life.
Totally.
But I do feel like being in a space where it was just women and genderqueer people, I would be so much more comfortable, because part of the intimidation factor, I think, with gyms is like going, and if you don't know what you're doing and you're like, okay, there's some big bulky dude taking up this spot, I know I want to go over there. He clearly knows how to use that machine. I don't really know how to use it. What do I do? Or like just that feeling of like, I kind of want to wear a cute outfit, but I don't really want a bunch of dudes staring at my ass or whatever. Have you ever had to deal with, we'll get into all of the specifics, but I have to ask this question first. Have you ever had to deal with like a man trying to come to Vibe and being like, why won't you let me in?
No.
Really?
No,
Okay,
no.
that's good.
Yeah, no. I could count on one hand the number of times that a guy has ever in person that a man has ever even questioned the concept. And I feel very like, thank goodness about that. I think maybe 3 times maybe has a man walked in and be like, hey, I just moved into the neighborhood and like I see you're a gym, like, you know, what's the membership? And so, and myself, like, I never want to assume anybody's identity coming in. So I'm just very clear where I'm like, hey, welcome to Vibe. Super excited that you're here. Welcome to the neighborhood. Just so that you're aware, we are a space specifically catering towards women and genderqueer people. We're super queer and trans friendly. So, you know, I want to make sure that you understand that right out the gate. So does that feel like a space that would be the right fit for you? And if they're a cis man, then they're going to be like, oh, no, I'm not that. No worries. And there has been like, it's been a funny interaction of them being like, wait, like I can't be here. It's like they're like God a little forbid. Kid that's never been told no before. And it's like buffering moment for a second. And one time, like when we first opened these guys from like this townhome complex right next door, we're like, yeah, but like we live right there. And I'm like,
cool.
Yeah. And they're like, but like you have so many squat racks. And I'm like, sorry, sweetie.
Yeah, like what? Yeah,
like,
it's God
no
forbid a man be told
it.
no.
I know, exactly. And it was just like, you know, I'm glad that it was never like hostile or anything like that.
Yeah.
If you get in the TikTok comments, totally different story.
For sure. Everyone is so much more brave online. Yeah. Everyone has an opinion online, and the internet has given permission to everyone to share whatever they want, regardless of the consequence. Yeah.
And I knew that there was a risk in that. Like, you know, I knew going into it that like we could have people picketing outside our business or like we could have people vandalize this space or, you know, I knew that there was a risk in that, but luckily we've never really had any type of like situations where we felt in danger. And I had high hopes for Denver that like we wouldn't have to deal with a lot of that. Yeah. It's mostly been online trolls, and there's been like, again, maybe 1 or 2 instances where I was like, ooh, this is like a kind of the next level of like intimidation and bullying and whatnot. And there was like, I've been worried about something happening. I have a like process in place with my team, like a lockdown process for like worst case scenarios. But I think that all businesses should have that these days, just out of safety. But yeah, luckily we've really had no issues with men
good.
In
Okay,
real life.
Good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I want to ask so many questions about the gym, but I always ask my guests a specific question about them first. So I'll ask this first. What is your current relationship with your body?
Oof. You know, I've been listening to your podcast like for a while, like since I was kind of like introduced to you, I've been listening to it. And like, I feel like everyone that I've listened to is like, I'm in the best place that I've ever been with my body right now. Of course, it's always hard, but like, I feel so good. And to be like totally honest, I have been in a really hard place with my body for the last month or so. Like I have had issues with disordered eating since I was in 3rd grade. I was diagnosed very early. And it's been like a pretty long, extensive journey for me with like lots of ups and downs and relapse. And just in the last month, it's been really, really hard. I've had a lot of intrusive thoughts and, you know, it's an added layer of challenge when I'm in the professional position that I am.
Yes, absolutely.
And like in some ways I'm like, okay, I'm an example for other people. So like that keeps me motivated and keeps me like inspired to like stay on my path and be a light for people in my recovery. But then on the flip side, sometimes it adds a layer of shame where it's like, I can't have bad body image days. Like I'm supposed to be the example and the leader in this way. But the reality is that like we all struggle.
For
and
sure.
So I've been working with my therapist a lot about it in the last month and just trying to kind of like dig in on what parts of me need a little bit more attention to figure out like why this has been so flared up lately. And like, you know, luckily I have a good support system and like I get to lean on my community a little bit too. So that's great that I have those people, but you know, there's still hard times that we go through.
I so appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
It is hard. Like, it's a hard question to answer. And I think that's part of the reason why I love asking it, because, you know, everyone has a different answer and everyone has a different idea of what relationship they are thinking about. Some people, when I ask them that question, they think that I'm asking like, what's your relationship to your appearance? Some people think I'm asking, what's your relationship to your actual like bodily functions? Some people think it's like relationship to like mentally. How do you feel? So
Totally.
it's so interesting. And I'm actually really curious to know, because this is something I've thought about, like in being in your position. How do you kind of go into a space where obviously gyms are places to go and like exercise and work your body. And a lot of the time, unfortunately, working your body is something that is associated with weight loss or is associated with dieting rather than just associated with a healthy lifestyle at all.
Totally.
So how do you like separate the, I guess, idea of like diet culture and the encouragement to lose weight when you have, you know, this past of disordered eating, or even just like wanting to be relatively body positive for your community?
Yeah, no, totally. When I first became a personal trainer, a large reason why I became a trainer in the first place was because of my recovery. And I had an incredible experience with a personal trainer of my own. And she just like helped me really reshape the way that I looked at exercise and food. And she encouraged me to get into therapy. So like that was such a fundamental shift in my world that when I was looking for a career change at the time, I was like, man, this is something that I'm feel really called to do also. So like I want to step into this role. And I was like, you know, even if I just get certified and like it's good information for myself, or like I do it part-time or I do it for a little while, we'll just kind of see how it goes, no pressure. And like it just bloomed so well, so easily, so quickly that I was like, okay, you know, you can't question it when it's coming together that well. So I really started training a lot of people quickly. And I think that was like a bit of skill and a bit of luck all like put together. But with nutrition coaching specifically, when I first started, I was like, okay, what kind of packages or what kind of services am I trying to do here? So I had my personal training service, and then I started doing some nutrition coaching. And I think like in that first type of service, I had 12 clients total in the whole longevity of it. And every single one of them I like fired in a sense, or like I ended up like even ending their contract or refunding them, because I was like, hey, you don't need a nutritionist, you need a therapist. Like
good for you.
It doesn't matter what calories that I'm telling you to eat, because like you need to focus on the root of this instead. And that was incredibly triggering for me. Like so hard for me, because I was still at a pretty early phase of like my own stability in my recovery, my identity with my recovery. And like, I think there's a lot of like quotes out there that say like your team is a reflection of you, or like the people you surround yourself with are like, is who you'll become, you know, whatever. And so I really took a hard look at that group of people and was like, why am I attracting the same exact type of client, the same exact type of problem that like I can't solve? I'm not a therapist. I'm not qualified for this. And like, why did this all end the same exact way? So I took a hard step back from nutrition coaching and did a lot more focus in on myself and like healing myself with that. And now at Vibe, I have a nutritionist there that is like phenomenal. She's basically a doctor. Like, she's so incredible. So
cool.
like 90% of anybody coming in looking for nutrition advice at Vibe, I just funnel directly to her because she's so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, just last year, I did launch a nutrition product again, but it's more of like a well-rounded thing. So it's not just specific nutrition coaching. I call it the Accountability Academy. And instead of like just focusing on what calories that you're looking for and like macros and all of that, like I don't recommend counting or tracking anything at all.
Yeah.
I focus more on like teaching people how to build meals that will fuel them properly, but like on more of a general basis of like, are you eating a protein? Like, are you eating a vegetable?
Yes,
like, just like, you know, what these components of your meals are and like how to like listen to your body and ask yourself like, okay, I ate this. Did it make me feel good or not good? And like, if it's not good, then like, what does that mean? Like, did it make me bloated? Did it make me like mess up my digestion? Did it make me feel sluggish? Or like, did it make me feel like bad out like on my exterior? Like, how did my food actually make me feel? And so like, we do talk about like meal prepping but in a sense of like, are you prepared for yourself? Like, what's your lifestyle and how do you make sure that you're feeding yourself? Because if you're an entrepreneur or a single mom or a student and like your life is crazy and you're like, well, I'm so busy, I never eat lunch. I'm like, okay, how do we like figure out habits around food to make that more attainable for you? I do have people come in with weight related goals, whether that's weight gain or weight loss. And as a coach, I do believe in body autonomy. So if you come to me and you say, hey, you know, my family has like a long risk of diabetes and heart disease, and like I'm at this level right now and my doctor is recommending this, and so like I'd like some support in that, then I'm going to respect that person's goal. My kind of like rule of thumb around weight related goals is, are you doing this because you love yourself or because you hate yourself?
Yeah.
And that's like kind of the kicker on, you know, why like what I challenge people when they say that they want to lose weight or gain weight too. You know, what's the root of why we want to do this? And if that feels in alignment, then like I'm completely supportive of that. But that program specifically also includes fitness coaching and mentality coaching, where we're going through a much more like well-rounded, total like self-health, like how are you feeling type of assessment week to week, rather than just like, okay, like how many grams of sugar did you eat, whatever. And like if somebody's looking for more support on like their gut health or their hormone balancing or like something more like in depth and specific, then like I just send them over to our nutritionist because she's great.
Yeah, I love that because obviously so often now with like trainers and like some nutritionists and I guess like wellness programs in general, there is the idea of like, oh yeah, everyone could lose a little bit of weight. That's the healthiest thing you could do.
Yeah.
And so there's no education around like the whole body wellness part of it. Like you were saying, are you getting enough fuel? Everyone assumes that they're getting too much fuel.
Yeah.
And so that they're cutting everything out,
Yeah.
when in reality it's like, no, you can like eat food and live, but like you have to feed yourself correctly. You can't be like skipping meals, and you can't be like assuming that because you're eating sugary you're unhealthy. Like there's so many things that go into having a healthy diet that like have nothing to do with like calories or macros. So I'm so happy to hear that because I am really personally like exhausted by the, I guess, like wellness industry. I feel like there's just so much pressure to be in the same category as everyone else, right? It's like we're all trying to get thin, we're all trying to be as small as possible, and that's the only way to be, and you're not healthy unless you're there. So it's really refreshing to hear someone who's not only been through that but has also been like, hey, I'm gonna set a boundary with my clients. Like this is triggering for me, and like I'm not gonna do this, you know,
and
because
it's real, because like I'm also going through my own processing, you know, and like if you go into Vibe and you look at any class on the schedule, you will see a very wide variety of people. Like we have some very strong people in our
Hell yeah.
classes that is like so empowering and motivating to see. But we also have people that have like literally never worked out before. Like there's always someone pregnant around, like various stages of like pre-post pregnancy. Like our oldest members are in their 80s. Our youngest members are like 18-year-olds. So like it's just such a wide variety of like you're just never ever gonna see a whole class of like thin white women at Vibe. And like I know I like fall into that category and that's like honestly something that I'm self-conscious about leading the company. But like I take a lot of pride in the diversity in our classes, in our instructors, in our staffing, and I think that like the only way that we can prove that we actually stand for these non-toxic fitness values is through time and consistency. And like, I think all of us are coming from a place where we don't really trust the fitness industry because of years and decades of like the toxic shit that we've been fed for so long. And so even when people come in and they're like, well, you know, they say that they stand for this stuff, but like, I don't know. And then finally they'll be like, oh my God, like what a breath of fresh air. Like, you know, I heard that this space was like good, but I had no idea like how good that it was going to be. And like, that's something that I think is really special that I can't take full credit for because it takes like everybody in the community to like make that space what it is, you know?
Yeah. And that is the perfect segue into the next thing that I am going to ask you.
Yeah.
So, as many people on TikTok know, there has been much controversy lately about the idea of women's only gyms. And the reason for that is because there have been, I think, a few instances, but one instance in particular where a cisgendered woman, her name is Natalie B. I think she goes by Natalie B. Fitness from England, opened a gym. And this is over the course of a few years. So she starts a GoFundMe campaign where she, in 2021, where she's like, I'm going to open a women's only gym. It's called The Girls Spot. I think it's called The Girls Spot. Yeah. And it's going to be a women's only gym. And then someone I think was like, hey, what about trans women? And she was like, yeah, you know what? Trans women are women. Like, you're welcome. That's great. And so she got a ton of funding. She got 20,000 pounds, which is equal to like $26,000. And so, it was called Girl Spot in London. Yeah. And so at first she's like, they're a minority that need to be protected. She gets all this money, right? Like so many people are donating to her, raises all this money, opens the gym. And then 4 years later, and this is why it's going viral, is because it's 4 years later now. And she says specifically in a very weird video, like she's standing really like stiff and someone's filming her. It's almost like someone was telling her that she needed to make this video. And she's like wearing like
a
gym
PSA.
gear. Yeah, like almost like a publicist or something was like, you need to do that. So she makes a video and she says that her gym will now be operating as a single sex space for biological women, focusing on self-defense classes as well as workshops around PCOS and menstrual cycles, all of which only occur to biological women. So her argument, and she also talked about she is a victim of sexual assault and has experienced that or has seen that many of her members are also survivors of sexual assault and that she's making this switch to make sure that everyone feels safe and because the classes and the trainings are only relevant to biological women. So obviously everyone is like, yo, what the fuck? This is really weird. And a lot of people were asking for refunds from their GoFundMe that they had originally donated, years ago.
Wow.
And so I think she ended up issuing refunds.
Yikes.
But just doubled down after that. No matter what anyone said about how she flipped the script or anything, was like, she just fully was like, nope, that's my decision. It's biological women only. She really, really harped on the sexual assault piece, which I think is just really insulting and offensive to act as if trans women are the perpetrators of that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know your thoughts and your opinion on this drama as someone who owns a gym that is open to genderqueer and trans people.
Yeah. I'm heated about it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I think the whole like, well, my programming is only really like applicable to, biological females because it's centered around people with PCOS. Like, I think that that's just a cop out. And like, I think that's her glossing over the fact. I agree with you that her like implying that her self-defense classes are there because her journey or like her experience with sexual assault, completely valid.
Yeah.
Like, want you to feel safe, want everybody to feel safe. But like to kind of low-key imply that like by allowing trans women into your space is going to increase the probability of sexual assault or something.
That's a wild accusation to make.
And I would be curious to know like really when like these exact switches happen, considering the political climate in England right now.
Oh yeah.
And like how they just like removed trans rights and like trans identification, and there's a lot of like issues around trans safety in the UK right now. So it would be interesting to see if she has basically sold out and become part of this like worldwide step back from the trans community. So that I'm sure plays into it a bit. All that to say, I think it's bullshit.
Right.
Like, especially the fact that you're going to start in one way and then switch and make such a hard switch and then double down. Like, that like just really sits poorly with me because obviously like being in a similar type of business, like it's so close to my heart. And the trans women that I have in my space are like such a light and a joy to the community that it's like you think that you're like protecting people, but really you're actually taking away like such a gift that you could be giving to your community. So it breaks my heart to hear that because of like my personal stake in my own community. But I mean, at Vibe, like we have cis women, we have straight women. Sometimes straight women will ask like, is it only queer women that can come? I'm like, no, it's fine. But like we have straight women, we have queer women, cisgendered women, we have assigned male at birth genderqueer people, we have trans women, we have assigned female at birth genderqueer people. Like we really have a wide variety of members. And like I would say that our membership base isn't majority trans women, but I think based off of what I said earlier, where like you're talking about a group of minority people where like they've been bait and switched so much in their life that like I have to go even more above and beyond to get those people to come in and trust me and like understand. So like I feel like I really try to go out of my way to especially support the minority groups in my community, and that's like any type of minority. So like I offer a sliding scale like payment structure. So like I have that I've always implemented. I have a reparations program. I have a trade service program. I have like a student teacher, people that work in not-for-profit organization, veterans, like automatic discounts. Like I offer so many types of pay it forward options for people. And like, because I know that those people are the ones that are extra affected by the economy and like discrimination and everything. And so like I try to attend like even more queer events and trans events and supportive events. And like, I'm going to go support queer and trans businesses in my community and invite them in. And like, I feel like I try to make that such a priority in my business that like to hear somebody say that and then like go backwards is just so offensive because it's like I'm working so hard to get away from that narrative where it's like, I promise I'm here for you. Like, I swear I've got your back. And then you see somebody like that go and like
Just say fuck it all,
Yeah,
basically.
and just do that, like act like that, when it's like that's why this community has such a guard up, because like they're so used to being manipulated or used for funding or
Yeah.
used for whatever, and then like they're not actually backed. And so
Yeah.
that really sucks in my opinion, because in my space, like I want that to be such a priority, that for somebody to manipulate that and abuse that group of people in that way and then not stand behind them, especially now with the current political environment of the world, is just like so gross to me.
You know what's funny to me about the whole like trans debate is two things. Is like the fact that these fucking cis hetero people think that they can clock a trans person is hilarious to me, because sometimes like you will see a trans person who is like so incredibly passing that it's like, how the fuck would you know
100%.
if someone, you know what I mean? Like it's like the TikToks of like women being like, oh, you really want me to be in the bathroom with your husband? And it's like the most gorgeous woman you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, someone who is a transphobe would never clock that person.
Yeah.
And it's just like so ironic to me that these people like are so obsessed with the idea of like what's in your pants. And the other thing that really boggles my mind, and this is another popular argument, is that like, you know, oh, women, biological women don't want trans women in the bathroom because really they're a man and I don't want a man near me because they're going to assault me. And it's like, so it sounds like what you're afraid of is men.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like what you're afraid of is heterosexual cisgendered men, because 90% of the time those are the ones committing sexual assault.
Yeah.
And it's not trans women or trans people in general
absolutely
who are
not
doing that. If anything, like there are a few trans women at my dance studio that I go to, and I love my dance studio because it's so like inclusive and body positive and just like women, like it's like so sapphic. I love it. And like when I talk to them, like they're the ones who are at the forefront of speaking up for women and like talking about body positivity, and like and to me, like they're the ones in dance class who are like, no, I'm gonna like wear the slutty outfit and I'm gonna look hot doing it and I don't give a fuck. And they inspire me to do the same and be like, you know what, I'm also gonna accept my body. I'm gonna wear a slutty outfit to the dance class today and I'm gonna have fun. And it's like, it's so odd to me, this idea of like, we're women and we need to protect womanhood and yada yada yada. It's like, bro, being a woman is so fucking hard. Who gives a shit? Like, if someone really knows that they are a woman, then like let them be a woman. Like, if anything, it's a more difficult side to be on.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So
and like, how can you as a man really know what is best for us? You know, as if we can't like speak for ourselves, or like, I don't know. It reminds me of this conversation that I had with a high school friend of mine like a couple weeks ago, because I'm from Iowa originally. And like, speaking of like bullshit rollbacks and like unsafe environments right now, like, come on, Iowa. But you know, there was a bill passed about like rolling back on trans identity and rights, and one of my friends posted about it, and this guy was like trolling her Facebook post, and I like commented on it, and then she and her twin brother texted me, and they were like, yeah, I can't believe this guy, like, you know, this is the guy in high school that like had a Confederate flag on his pickup truck and like, you know, had all of this like really long rooted series of like aggressive behaviors. And you know, so for him to be inflaming this Facebook post was like not really surprising. But then like, you know, his whole thing was like, well, I have daughters now, and so like, you know, this is just to protect women and girls, and like, what's so wrong with that? And like, he was texting with my friend, and she was like, listen, like, men are not going to pretend to be women, dress up as women just to go into bathrooms to assault them. For example, you and your friends came into the girls' locker room in high school while we were all showering and changing on purpose to ambush us. So like, you actually like were the abuser.
Like, you're a part of the problem.
Yeah, like did you feel like you needed to be a drag queen or a trans woman in order to do that? No, you as a straight cis man just did that because that's what you wanted to do. So why do you think that men would need to pretend to be trans women in order to go and assault women? Like you're just going to do it.
And she said this to him?
Yeah. And he just didn't text her back.
Wow. What a pussy.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know. And I'm like, man, I feel bad for your daughters.
That's what like gets me about the whole thing is like take like Donald Trump, for example, right? He used to own the, what was it? Like Miss America pageant. And I think he also owned like the teen Miss America one or whatever. And it's like, he is on air with Howard Stern from years ago where he literally admits to like walking into their changing room, like teenagers, minors, like to make sure that they're all tip top shape or whatever. Oh, ha ha ha, whatever. But then here he is as president of the United States saying that like trans people are going to like be sexually assaulting, they're grooming, they're pedophile. And I'm like, but the thing is like you did that as a cisgendered heterosexual man, like as a straight man, like you went and you did that. You didn't dress up. You didn't do shit. Yeah. You just went on your own volition because you're a narcissist and you think you could and you did get away with it. Right. And yeah, so it really like just boggles my mind, like also why people care so much.
It's just the deflection. I think it's truly the deflection, and it's easier to blame somebody else for something than to look at your own faults and like to look at yourself. Like that guy, you know, he didn't ever think that what he did was wrong. He probably lived his whole entire life with nobody challenging him on it ever, and just thinking like, well, it was just a joke. Like we were just kids. Like it was just a funny thing. Yeah. And they've never ever had to think about it. And the fact that they have to sit down and think about it and be challenged on it is just something that they're incapable of.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. I want to know, like, back in like regards back to like Vibe and the gym, how do you maintain, for lack of a better word, a good vibe? Yeah. Like, how do you maintain a space that feels safe and welcoming and also still kind of like, you know, body positive in a way? How do you do that?
Yeah. It's like, on one hand, it's literally like, I don't have to do anything. Like, nice. Literally, like the people just get it.
That's awesome.
And that's awesome. Yeah. Like it's a little bit magic, I will say, that like, I think that because of branding or like, because it's just like, you know, you say something in like is the most authentic version of yourself you can be, you'll attract the people that are the right fit for you. And so I think I've always just tried to be like as authentic as possible. Yeah. And I knew that the right people would hear that message and understand and get it and just be here. And that has honestly like worked. Like
that's awesome.
Such a big bulk of it is literally just that. And but then the other side of it, the effort side of it is like social media posts and communication and branding. All of that is important, but I think just showing up consistently is like you can talk the talk, but do you walk the walk? Yeah. And like I've changed a lot of stuff with Vibe since we've opened, like some more significant or less significant adjustments, but like even as simple as just being up to date on terminology and whatnot, like what people are saying, what's appropriate to say right now is different than what it was even 3 or 5 years ago. For sure. So by me just like consistently asking for feedback and getting audited by like credible people and like just being very in the community to try to continue to improve Vibe all the time for people, it's just a lot of listening to other people. And as funny as it is, like, you know, the queer world, like especially like the lesbian world in Denver gets very small very quickly.
Oh, really?
And
I'm like kind of inching my way into it. So I'm slowly learning. I'm like dipping my toes in the water.
Yeah. It's funny. And like, you know, I I think that there can be just as much drama in gay people as straight people.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like,
if not more.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's just a different flavor of drama.
Yeah,
but like,
it really is.
and so I was like a little nervous about that because I think also like queer spaces can get so cliquey. And like once there's like, oh, I've dated her, we have history or like whatever, like we've really had very minimal issues with that. We had like
good.
When we were about a 1 year open, and I had one big like lesbian breakup that was like super dramatic. And then like recently I had like one tiff between people that was like relatively manageable and stuff. But I mean, in 3 years to really only have like two to three
that's crazy
things, it's just like, it's just a non-issue because I think people come into it understanding like this is a no drama zone. We don't stand for it. We're here to support each other. We're not in competition of each other. And like in some ways with leadership and like how I structure the classes and how I manage the environment of the classes, I think really lends to like the method behind the magic type of feel to it. That yes, there are things that I like specifically do in order to maintain the ecosystem, but after a while the ecosystem thrives, and as long as there's balance, then like it just kind of like keeps growing. And that is luckily where we're at right now.
I love what you said specifically about like the vocabulary piece, because I think that can be really tricky, and especially like, you know, as like millennials, like we've kind of spanned the gamut of like inappropriate shit to say. I mean, like in the 2000s, we were like watching movies where like white people were like saying the N-word and shit, and it was like acceptable. And like you look back and you're like, what the fuck was wrong with us? But like I am so interested in that piece specifically because like I have hosted a few different comedy shows, and now I have the Sapphic comedy show, which I'm really excited about. And it's easy because I can just call it the Sapphic comedy show because it's at the Pearl, which is a Sapphic space. And like the whole point is that it is
I
like
love
kind
the
of
term Sapphic.
Same.
I've used that too, and I'm like so glad that in the last year Sapphic has really like grown because it's such a good word.
And I don't know, like for the longest time, like I had a show called Hourglass Social, and it was the type of show where it was the same thing. I was like, okay, so I'm gonna book like only female and like genderqueer comics. I don't want it to be like a women's only show. No, it's like women and genderqueer people. But I want the audience to know that like you don't have to necessarily be a woman to come. But it is going to be a little bit more like women and queer focused. Because the comedians are going to be women and queer. So it's like I struggled for so long with the wording of it because I didn't know how to communicate the fact that it was like basically everyone here is not going to be a cisgendered straight white man. Like, not that you're not welcome, you know what I mean? Like,
but don't come.
Like like there were a few boyfriends in the crowd at the first show, which I thought was great because I'm not kidding. Out of like 50 people that came, there were 3 dudes in the crowd, and I was so fucking happy. Mostly just because like when you get a crowd of like sapphic people together, I feel like the vibe is amazing. It's like immaculate. But I also even struggle just with like the Sapphic comedy show because like all of the comedians are either women or genderqueer people, but I still don't know if it's appropriate to say, oh, these are all Sapphic comedians because what if someone doesn't like where on the spectrum does Sapphic kind of stop or fall? And so it is a really interesting way to like kind of like dice up the words and figure out how to communicate that.
Even when I have like open to the public events, like I still get members and just like people that are like, so can men come to this one or not? And it'll be like a market or like, you know, like it'll be something so totally casual. Open. And they'll be like, but can guys come? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. So like, I struggle with it too. And I think what I've kind of landed on is that there's just no like term and there's never gonna be like the one thing that we can just use, which would be so convenient and nice to do, but like it's just I've given up on the idea of that in a positive way because I'm like, hey, I don't want there to be just one overarching term for all this, because the diversity is the beauty of it. So like, I think that it's just going to be an ongoing conversation for clarity always. And I've like buckled up for that ride.
Yeah.
And on my website, I have an FAQ that's like, so can cis men come? And I'm like, no, but we do have like some options for you. Like we do, like these frequently we'll call it BYOB. So it's Bring Your Own Boy Day.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
Yeah. So it'll be like a specific class or a specific time frame where like you can bring your brother or your partner or your son or whatever. And like, doing other events. Like we did this in-house weightlifting competition.
Oh, cool.
And it was open to the public for, to cheer people on. And it was so cute. The amount of dads and brothers and partners that came, like it was adorable. And just like, I think it is important for like cis men to be exposed to that in bites, because like then they get it more. Yeah. And where I think the typical response is like, yeah, that's like awesome. You guys totally need that. And like, that's cool for you. I love that for you. But they don't like really get it until they're like, oh shit, like, wow, I really see it. And so when they do have the opportunity to come in, then like, it's really cool. Like I had dads that were like, you have no idea like what this has been for my daughter that was a collegiate volleyball player. And after she graduated, had a massive identity crisis and just like lost her sparkle because she didn't have her team anymore. Yeah. And like, this has been her new team and she like loves it here. Or like partners that are like, I am so proud of my girlfriend or my wife because of how strong she is. And like, she has never been so like empowered, like, or, oh my gosh, like this like woman in my life has never had a girl gang before. And like, she's always struggled having girlfriends. And like, this is the first time that she's ever had like supportive women in her life. And like, she feels motivated to go and do activities. It's helped her anxiety, helped depression, like just all of this stuff that it's like, okay, they really get it when they get those chances. And then, like on a totally business note, I do have like programming that a lot of my members partners subscribe to. So like if they have their own gym membership to wherever, then if they really want help with something, then I've got some opportunities that they can subscribe to and like different coaching models for them. But, or I have like a couple of really phenomenal other like cis male trainers in the Denver area that I find very qualified and ethical that I can like give out as
that's awesome.
Just like a referral. But yeah,
you seem like a very prepared person. I love that.
Yeah, it's my Virgo rising.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I love that. No, I do think it's cool the point about like how sometimes like men don't necessarily understand the importance of like female relationships. And I think too, as someone who like myself has dismantled my internalized misogyny pretty recently, like it's probably taken the majority of my 20s, honestly, to do it and to finally start centering women. It's so fucking powerful. And it's almost kind of sad how from the jump as women, we're just immediately kind of taught to like be pinned against each other. And I can't tell you, especially in the comedy world, how like common it is for women to feel like threatened by each other, especially because there's not a lot of us. Right. And so creating a space that's not only for women, but is about kind of like lifting them up and like providing a space for them to like do that inner work that a lot of us need to do, which is like dismantling the internalized misogyny and the patriarchy, is like so important and cool. And I like seriously commend you for that.
Yeah. And it is like, it's complicated, like the conversations in classes are so funny because you just never know what you're going to get. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, hey, what butt plug do you recommend? And sometimes it's like, oh my God, like my child will not take a nap. Or like sometimes it's, what romantic novel are you reading right now? And sometimes it is like, oh, I'm thinking about getting a tummy tuck or like, I'm thinking about going on Ozempic. Yeah. And like, I think that it's cool that we've created such a safe space that that people could kind of be no filter in a way that like people are very kind and like, and it's like, even if it is more of a touchy subject that may be a little triggering or maybe like not like as ethical as what we would like it to be. I understand that people are all coming in with like all of this background and baggage from their own, you know, experiences. And so I'm not naive to the fact that some people are still carrying those things of like, well, maybe that I wish that I had a little, like, I wish my own arms were getting toned more. I wish like my booty was as big as hers, or like, you know, oh my gosh, she's so much stronger than me. Like, I get it. And I think it's cool that people feel safe enough to bring up those more touchy topics and be met where they're at and still like feel supported and all of that too.
So, in honor of what you do, I have like some fun segments that I like to do because now on the pod, like I like to play a little game. So, we've played a few so far, but for you, I wanted to do one that had more to do with like our bodies specifically. So, I have a little game of true or false.
Okay.
And I think I have 10 questions here. And they're all like facts about the body.
Great.
And I want you to tell me if they're true or false. So,
Okay.
I'll say 10 different facts about the body, and I
Great.
need you to tell me if they're true or false.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
I am not a doctor.
She is not a doctor, ladies and gentlemen. She's just a badass gym owner. Okay, so babies have more bones than human adults.
Correct.
Yes, they have 300 versus we have 206. After puberty, your ears and nose stop growing.
False.
False. Yep. Gravity actually makes them lengthen
Yeah.
your entire life.
Yeah, I think I knew that. I didn't know about the ears, but I did know that about your nose.
Yeah, your cartilage is just constantly but being dragged to the ground. It's great. Okay, when listening to music, your heart can actually sync to the rhythm of the song.
True.
True, yes. Your small intestine is the same length as your height.
I think it's longer. False?
Yeah, false. It's 23 feet
Yeah.
long. You're doing good. Humans shed about 600,000 skin particles per hour.
True.
True. When you blush, you can sometimes feel it in your stomach because the lining of your stomach will also turn red.
True.
True. Oh my God. Maybe these are too easy. Okay. Your vagina has the same acidic level as a cup of coffee.
Ooh, I don't know about that one. True?
False.
Okay.
It has a pH level of 4.5, which is more similar to that of a tomato.
Great to know.
Yes.
Learn something new every day.
Exactly. Humans glow in the dark, but our eyes are actually too weak to see it.
False.
True.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
We jinxed it.
I think that's why animals can see us a little easier because they have the
Sure.
photoreflective whatever. Okay. 1 square inch of skin contains about 3 sweat glands.
True.
False. It has 300
Oh my
sweat
God.
glands in a 1 square inch of skin. I know, isn't that terrifying?
That is terrifying.
As a chronic
sweaty
sweater,
person.
yeah, that's terrifying. The average length of a penis is about 7.5 inches.
False.
False.
Big false.
6. I just wanted to make men mad with that one. Can you imagine? It's actually 6. I feel like 6 is even generous
Agreed.
for average.
Yeah, agreed. That's
like
that's
a
like
lot.
something that men would say, like, oh yeah, men on average are 6 feet tall
Oh,
and
God,
have 7-inch
yeah.
penises. That's very average.
Yeah, I'm like, try 5'8". Try 5'8". Oh my goodness. Well, I'm really glad that you've been on the pod today. How has it
Yeah.
been being on your first podcast?
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it feel weird?
You make things so comfortable.
Oh, good.
And
Yay.
the environment, everything is so easy. I feel like we could talk like all afternoon.
Yes, I know. I love the chairs. It's like so comfy. Is there anything coming up with Vibe that you could tell people about, like this spring, this summer?
We have right now I'm running my first ever kids camp.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'm taking registrations for junior and senior high kiddos, where it's same thing, like women and genderqueer identifying and trans youth that can sign up for a 4 or 8 week long
Cool.
course. So that's a cool thing that we're doing this year. And then I just wrapped up my annual scholarship program So that was a big deal. And this summer, we just have like a lot of little events coming up. So like biggest thing is just like follow our Instagram or sign up for the newsletter because
Yeah.
like we have just a lot of like social activities. Like we're going out to your show at the Pearl.
Yay!
I know,
Oh
yeah,
my
we're excited.
gosh.
Everybody loved you at the party, so
Oh,
everyone's like
good.
pumped
I
about
felt so
it.
bad because I wasn't sure, like so many people were standing that I was like,
Oh,
oh, I
yeah.
hope they're not like uncomfy that I'm like at their eye
No,
level talking
no,
to them.
I thought it was so good. Everybody like thought it was very like organic and
Oh,
comfortable.
good.
Like
Okay,
it was super fun. So yeah, we have a social night out, like a vibe night out for that. We're doing the Pride Ride at A Basin at the end of May.
Cool.
Yeah, we have a market that we do every summer that's just like all like local businesses and whatnot. A lot of members that have businesses will participate in it. So I do a big market at Vibe about once a quarter.
Fun.
There's usually like 30 to 40 vendors at them. So those are always really fun and big. And yeah, just the normal stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I also, to wrap up, have my affirmation board,
Yes.
as I'm sure you know much about. And I would love for you to sign it.
Yay.
If I can get it out of this. I need to put it somewhere better. There's all kinds of colors in here for you.
Yay.
But yeah, there's many signatures on there. It's getting kind of full at this point.
I'll do pinks for Vibe Pink.
Yes, Vibe Pink. I know everyone chooses the mint color, so it's like
Ooh.
I gotta like take it out of the bucket so that there's no more mint on there. I started doing the affirmation board. I think it was like right when I started my podcast, I was like, I need something to like wrap up. I need something that's going to be a signature My Body, My Jokes thing. And so I just went to Michael's and bought this like foam board. And I think I should probably like post a photo of it one day so people can actually see it. But I like doing it because it reminds me that like so many people have different ideas of what affirmations are or how they make them feel. And as someone who, like many of us, has struggled with affirmations, I struggle a lot with the idea of like, ugh, I don't want to like sit in front of a mirror and tell myself stuff that I don't actually believe.
Yeah.
I love knowing that other people have funny things or really important things to tell themselves. So tell us what you wrote.
I said, be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.
Oh my God, that was on my graduation cap.
Oh my God.
Oh
that
my
is
God.
so funny.
I literally put...
that is
I
hilarious.
put that on my graduation cap when I graduated college.
I love
That's
that.
so
I'm pretty sure I
cool.
found it on Pinterest like
Yes.
15 years ago or
Yes.
something like that. And it's just been something that has always stuck with me. So yeah, that's kind of my like daily little reminder for my confidence.
Yes.
So yeah.
I love that.
That's
Be
awesome.
courageous in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so cool.
Great minds think alike.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Let us
you.
know where everyone can find you.
On Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky.
Oh yeah, I haven't
everything.
even checked. I don't even
I
know what
know.
it is. I know
It's-
people are on it, but I
Yeah, I'm trying to do it more, but yeah, it's vibe.gym pretty much everywhere, or like Vibe Gym and Wellness Collective is my website and the Facebook, and then my personal coaching pages is Meg N Coaching. So that's it.
Cool. Yay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here. I'm glad we finally got to make it work. I feel like
Yeah.
I've been like trying to get everyone like that I've wanted for months, and I'm like, finally, Megan. Yes. Okay. Yes. You were like, I'm not kidding, one of the first people. That was how that's how I like connected to you on Instagram, was when I started the podcast. I wish I could remember who it was. I think maybe it was Julia. And she was like, you should reach out to Megan. Like, she has vibe, like you should do that. And I was like, oh, perfect, immediately. So
yeah.
I
And
love
I
it.
do think that like the whole concept of like women's gyms and whatnot has been like more and more on the rise, which is awesome. So it feels relevant, but yeah, it was a big thing on my manifestation for 2025 that I really wanted to be on a podcast. So
Yay.
when you asked me, I was like, Check.
Perfect. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I could help with the list. That's awesome. Well, thank you for being here. I'm so excited. I'm going to come check out Vibe soon. Hopefully come take a class or something when I'm not dancing. When I don't have rehearsal. But thank you all for listening. Thank you for supporting the podcast. If you're in Denver, go check out Vibe. Seriously, such a cool spot. And come see the Sapphic Comedy Show at the Pearl on May 9th. But other than that, have a wonderful day. Be courageous in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. And I'll see you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to My Body, My Jokes. Please be advised that the information provided in this podcast is for general discussion purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Always, always, always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare professional with any concerns you might have regarding the topics discussed in today's episode. Also, if you or someone you know is struggling with an eating disorder, please call the National Eating Disorders Association helpline at 1-800-931-2237. Bye.